25 years, and we're finally getting that 4K release. Let's talk about the Flashback. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a Movie Emporium flashback review of the 25th anniversary of Dogma. This film is directed by Kevin Smith. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the group that sent me this screener to watch. Dogma, of course, has been around since 1999. And yeah, this is a flashback review. It's going to be a spoiler discussion. So in the 25 years, if you have not seen Dogma, which a lot of people probably haven't because it hasn't been available till technically now, ever since the out-of-print DVD, there will be spoilers for this review. Okay, so a quick synopsis of Dogma. Two fallen angels, played by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, decide they're going to go to New Jersey to visit a church that, of course, is run by George Carlin, to enter it because he has decided he's kind of revamped it, and people will be forgiven their sins for going in. So they're going to go in and basically be forgiven, and so they can kill themselves and go back to heaven. Well, in the process, a scion, last scion, that's played by Florentino, is recruited by a angel or a deity that, of course, is played by Alan Rickman, the late one. Alan Rickman, rest in peace. But with the help of people like, of course, Salma Hayek and people like, I don't know, Chris Rock, and then the two wise ones that are, of course, Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith himself as Jay and Silent Bob, as well as being confronted by a character played by Jason Lee, who plays Azrael, as well as his three goon hockey player killers. Basically, they have to stop the fallen angels from going into the church to basically what would end up happening, the end of the world. So this movie is very controversial in Kevin Smith's oeuvre of filmmaking. It, of course, was put on, I don't know, lock and key for like the longest time because, I don't know, certain people who were very disgusting in Hollywood, they wanted to sell for an astronomical value of money, and therefore it hasn't been released on DVD or Blu-ray, and it's first time really getting a release outside of the DVD from 2000. But with that said, this is a beloved Kevin Smith film because it is different in a lot of respects for Kevin Smith. It leans more into kind of a harder, darker material when it's compared to his like lighter, kind of over the top silly stuff. But there is lighter, over the top silly stuff. Jason Mewes is, of course, doing that kind of stuff as well as the other characters. But this is a pretty beloved film, especially from Kevin Smith fans. I wasn't a huge fan of it when I saw it, but I've kind of grown to love it as I've seen it many years prior. And for this review, this discussion, I think this is one of Kevin Smith's best films. I think it's actually a pretty decent film. I think it goes to really juvenile places, which is what Kevin Smith, it's what he's known for doing. You got to give the guy credit. He's willing to put some really crass content in his religious film. But I think this movie really holds well because of the nature of what Kevin Smith is trying to do and tell about religion, how absurd it can be, how people are so chaotic and so menacing in their beliefs, how two individuals can corrupt a society and turn it upside down. It really is an interesting story about savior and people who will do anything to keep that saviorism, and people who are willing to like go against the grain to confront that saviorism and stuff like that. And I just think it's a movie that really holds up on that speciality that not only is what Kevin Smith is known for doing with like his writing, which is always in that Quentin Tarantino-esque style, where it's very quippy, it's very witty, it's a million miles a minute, but there is heart at the core of this movie. There is absurdity at the core of this movie, but it's also a movie that is paced really interestingly. It has interesting characters. I think it uses the religious aspects to its strengths, and I think it's a movie that really attempts to be an interesting tale of what would happen if like things really went wrong in society, which may or may not be prescient in today's society. It's just kind of interesting to think about because these two fallen angels, they kill people, they attack people who sin against the world. They go to the head of Mubi, which is of course the fake restaurant chain company in the View Askew universe. And they are individuals who are confronting people who get away with murder, basically, and confronting them and bringing them up for their sins. But it's a really interesting movie to watch, and I think it's really a lot of fun. I think, when you bring in people like Alan Rickman and Chris Rock and Salma Hayek, I think it gives the movie a lot of like gravitas and stuff like that. I think it gives the movie the willingness to go with Kevin Smith's material. You can tell they're having a lot of fun. Alan Rickman's an individual that's very funny, has always been really funny. You look at stuff like this this in Galaxy Quest. He's very dry-witted, but he has an underlying sense of humor, and it really shows. And of course, George Carlin is a huge comedian, stand-up comic, as well as an actor. And the fact that he was willing to be in these films is a testament to what he believes, what Kevin Smith is doing. You know, but it has his like regulars, like, you know, Walt Flanagan and, you know, Jason Mewes and Jason Lee and Brian O'Halloran, Jeff Anderson, Scott Mosier, who's one of his good friends. But it's a movie that, you know, it's crass, it's bold, it does what it needs to do, and it's just funny, to be fairly honest. I found it really kind of kinetic and interesting. I think the fact that it's willing to have some interesting storylines and some interesting takes on religion and what religion inspires and the crassness that is religion, but it's also willing to have a shit monster, and it's willing to have the third apostle, and it's willing to have Alanis Morissette as God, and it's willing to, you know, have I don't know, people and abortions, and, you know, people kissing on buses, people getting murdered. It's an interesting movie. It's a 2-hour movie, which is very unlike Kevin Smith to do. But I really enjoyed the movie for what it's worth. I thought it's, you know, it's a movie that I've kind of fell in love with in the Kevin Smith rankings and stuff like that. Is it as good as like Chasing Amy or Clerks 2? I don't think so, because I think I think those movies have a lot more when it comes to who Kevin Smith is. But I think it's, you know, I think it's worth watching just to see what Kevin Smith is capable of when he is willing to go very heady in his material. And on top of that, you got people like Howard Shore. You got people like the cinematographer that did a lot of Wes Anderson movies to do this movie. And it really shows that there was a lot of faith and a lot of effort to let Kevin Smith do something. He is a true blank check director because he's doing all these projects, giving all his money, and no one really bats an eye at it, to be fairly honest, except for the fact when I guess the the church comes after him and tries to get this movie to not, you know, release in theaters. But yeah, I think it's a really fun movie with a lot of great scenes. You know, it's fun to watch the absurdity of the 1990s with how Jason Lee is dressed and how everybody's dressed, and how there's 3 hockey players, which is very much in the league of Kevin Smith, who loves hockey. It's a movie that it can go places that are crazy. You know, Salma Hayek is stripping, which is an homage to, of course, From Dusk Till Dawn. There's definitely homages to other films in this series. When it comes to this movie itself, it makes me laugh that Jay and Silent Bob are basically R2D2 and C3PO of this franchise, and they just kind of show up whenever. I like the simple fact that like we see the naked, we see the naked version of Alan Rickman with no dick, which is pretty funny. I like this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. Is it perfect? No, it runs too long. There's scenes where it just kind of keeps on going, but I love the exposition where Bartleby and Loki basically talk about religion. They talk about the insanity of the world. They have, you know, discussions, and sometimes they murder people and sometimes they don't. I love the discussions that the like I said, Chris Rock and Linda Florentino have, which, you know, you heard rumors about Linda Florentino and Kevin Smith having issues. I like the fact that, you know, it shows us a world that is very much in the Kevin Smith oeuvre, but is also a movie that kind of sharpens its blades and tries to do something different. But yeah, I mean, that's Dogma in a nutshell. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's very Kevin Smith, and it tries to attempt to be a more mature Kevin Smith film with the Kevin Smith like material and stuff like that. It has a lot of fun with what it's doing, and yeah. It is Dogma. So that is my flashback review of Dogma. It is hitting theaters for the 25th anniversary, but in limited release. It'll be on 4K Blu-ray finally, digital as well. So I'm looking forward to picking that up. Once again, I want to thank the studio that is taking care of this movie that let me see this and allowed me to kind of re-experience it with the new, like the reformatted version that is, you know, gives it the true format of what it originally was filmed in. And yeah, that's my take on Dogma, my flashback review of the 25th anniversary of the movie. So congratulations to Kevin Smith for finally getting this movie back. So there you go. But with that said, thank you so much for watching my review of Dogma. I do appreciate it. Comments below. If you like this movie, what's your favorite part of this movie? Mine's, of course, Loki and Bartleby kind of arguing back and forth about religion and how Matt Damon kind of freaks out. That's like some of my favorite stuff in the movie, and I think some of the best stuff Kevin Smith's ever written. But let me know in the comments below what your favorite part is. But if you like what you see on this video, awesome. Hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.